Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein and I will be your presenter here for the next 20 minutes. Today we are going to be talking about donations reports. So specifically the log report, the giving summary, and the deposit slip. And then tomorrow we're going to be talking about the other compare and analyze reports. But today we're just going to focus on those three. So if you're interested in hearing about the other ones under the compare and analyze section, feel free to head out to our website and sign up for that one as well. Just a couple housekeeping things today. Feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar. I'm happy to answer those. So you just expand that question section on your GoToWebinar toolbar, and we'll get you an answer that way. Josh is listening in with me today per usual, and he will be happy to type in any responses. While I'm presenting, I actually don't even look at the question section. I tend to mix myself up if I'm trying to talk and read a question at the same time, so I won't even look at those until the end. But if something pops up, feel free to type it in. I will go over it at the end, or Josh will get you an answer while I'm presenting. Also, I'm recording this webinar, so I will have it cleaned up, have it up on the website by the end of the day today. So if you want to rewatch it, share it with someone that you feel might find this information beneficial, you'll be able to do that out at churchwindows.com/support. Also, if you find you have a more specific question or a question that you think of while the webinar is happening that's not on topic, feel free to email us that question. So support@churchwindows.com, you can send it there, or feel free to call in, and that's going to be a better avenue for us to help you with a more specific or off-topic question from today's webinar. Okay. The information that we are going over, the outline that I am following, is from one of our workbooks. Okay, so you can head out to churchwindows.com, and under training and supporting, they have all of our workbooks out there that are available to purchase. The one we're going over today is from the Donations 105 workbook, specifically pages 15 through 23. So if you have the workbook, want to follow along, it's D105, 15 through 23. But two, feel free to go out and purchase it. There's a lot of really good information out there within those training workbooks. You don't have to buy them all. You can just buy one or piecemeal them together if you wish. But there really is some good information out there on our website available for you. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and get started here. So I'm on page 15. And the first report we are going to talk about is the log report. This is a really flexible report that we have available for you in donations. This is also a report that you can really tweak and change to show the specific information you are going to be looking for. Okay, so this report is going to be a detailed report of the different transactions and the information associated with those transactions that you can print out for whatever date range you want. All right, so I'm going to go up here under reports and export, and I'm going to click on donation reports. And I'm going to go right to the donations log report. So how I'd like to do this is kind of go over each tab up here across the top. There are 5 tabs. I'm going to go to each one individually and explain the different aspects of that tab. And then I want to show you the preview. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of jumping around, but I really think this is going to be the best way for everyone to kind of grasp or understand the possibilities with this report, because there really is a lot it can do. Okay, so on the filter tab, first thing I want to point out here is all the different options or queries that you can choose from to get the information you're looking for. So first thing here, of course, it's going to be the giver. If you want to see all the information for one specific person, you can then choose that person and select their information here. And then when you hit print, based on whatever other fields you have selected, it's only going to show you information for this person, okay? So right now we're looking at the whole year. When you open up this report, it's always going to be focused on this specific year that we are currently in. Now, you can adjust this date occurred to whatever you want. You can go 10 years back if you wanted to. You can also overlap within different years. It's very customized. We can put in whatever you want there. So I'm going to hit print and just show you what the default report is going to look like. Okay, so we just picked Nina As you can see, we're getting her giver number and her total amount given for the period. So at the bottom of all of our reports, you're going to have a summary. It's going to reiterate or summarize the information for you that's covered up at the top, okay? So along with your transaction count, it's going to give you your total donations broken down by cash, checks, and other. It's going to reiterate the date range that you used, and that's also going to show you your sort order, okay? So as you can see, here's Nina and the information that we have for her, and then these are the specific columns by default that are going to print, okay? This is just one option of many, all right? Now, if I come back here and I get rid of Nina, and I just leave it for the whole year thus far, it's going to then show us everybody's information, okay? Nina will be in here, but along with everybody else who's given so far this year. Now, you can also add in, if you choose a person again, let's go back to Nina. If Nina is a pledger, you can then select the specific pledge. So if you just want to see Nina's information for the building fund, you could select that and hit print, and that would just show you information regarding that pledge, okay? Same thing for account. You can also choose a specific account. So if you only want to see the giving that came into general fund, actually I think building has more information, choose that. Hit print, and then all the transaction that came in specifically to building fund are going to be on the report. Okay, now keep in mind these fields build on each other. Okay, so as you fill in more information, the less people you are most likely going to get on your report because you're adding more criteria. Okay, check a reference number. Say you have a check but you have no idea who it belonged to and you need to figure that out. You could simply type that check or reference number in, hit print, and then it's going to pull only transactions that include the check number. User, pretty straightforward. If you want to see everything Betty entered while she was working at the church on Sunday, you could put her username in there, hit print, and that's only going to show you the transactions that Betty's done. Batch code, if you use batch code, you can search specifically on a batch code. Say, I want to see all the giving that came in from my early service for the year. Choose that, hit print. Same thing, you're just going to get those transactions that have that batch code of early, okay? Giver number range, if you use giver numbers and you say you give kids envelopes 50 through 75, you could put that range in and it'll only show you those donations. Already talked about date occurred, date posted. This is going to be when you were physically sitting at the machine and you were doing something to a transaction. That is your date posted. So if you're like, I know I entered donations yesterday, but I can't remember what donation date I used, you could put that date posted in of yesterday, do a search, and it will show you those transactions. Transaction number, you could do a range or put the same number in both boxes. Pretty straightforward. Same with amount. Say you want to see all the donations that came in for a specific amount, you could then put that amount in the box, okay? Show reversed, if you want to include reverse transactions, check that box. Payment methods. A lot of people are doing online donations right now. You can uncheck everything, but leave EFT, credit card, debit card if you wish, and that would be an easy way to get a report of those online gifts as long as those are the payment methods that you used. Showing subtotals, let me show you the difference between those. Let me clear my filter. So if I leave show subtotals checked, let's hit print. I think it's easier to see it than explain it. You can see we're getting the subtotal line here. Good example right here is for Chris Day. It's giving you the subtotal. If we uncheck that, pretty straightforward, it's no longer going to give you that information, okay? Chris Day's donations are just going to be listed out by date without the line for the subtotal. Personally, I like to see it, but it's up to you depending on what you need. Suppress repeating transactions. If we leave this checked and hit print, let me find one where it would work. Here we go, right here, building funds repeated. We uncheck that, hit print. It's not going to reiterate the information that falls on the same place, okay? Pretty straightforward on that. Suppress repeating transactions. Check or uncheck is truly up to you for which you want to see. Save selections as default. If you have a specific way you want to run this report every time, you set up the criteria. check save selection as default. You have to hit print. And then once you hit print, the next time you come back into this screen, whatever information you had in here will be remembered from the last time you checked that save selections as default box. Just a quick way to get the information out if you have a report you'd like to see regularly, okay? All right, let's jump to the group and sort tab. Now, this is kind of where lots of possibilities are going to begin. So if I leave sort field 1 on giver, and I leave group by field 1 checked, as you can see, we are going to get all the information with the columns that I have specifically selected, which are going to be up here across the top. Now, on the columns tab, you can come in and you can add or remove as much information as you want. Say you don't use batch codes. Let's get rid of that by moving it back to the left. And let's say you want to see people's payment methods. You can double click it or hit the right facing arrow, move it to the right. And now this specific column is going to show up on the report. So if I hit print, now I can see here is my payment method now showing, okay? Columns tabs move things back and forth depending on what information you need to see. Now let's jump back to group and sort. Let's say I don't need all that detailed information. I just want totals only for my giver. If I check totals only and now I hit print, it's going to simply give me the giver how much they gave. Okay. Now, if I want to count, a lot of people like this report by account. They want to see how much came in for that account so far this year or for a specific time frame. Using the filter tab to adjust your date range, you can then get that information as well. Account, totals only, similar looking report, but instead of by giver, it is now by account. Okay. And again, if I uncheck totals only, sort field 1, let's say I want account, sort field 2, let's say I want donation date. I'm going to hit print, and then the report is going to look very different. It's then going to show me the general fund, the total amount, and then a breakdown of each transaction that came into that. Okay, so we could go through a million different scenarios for this. That's all I'm going to go over specifically for the log report, but really come in here and play with it. You can't break anything. Come in here, try using the columns tab and the group and sort tab, and really try playing with it to see what information you can get in the layout that you're looking for. Okay. Fonts tab, pretty straightforward if you would really like to customize changing the font size. Maybe you have some people who need the font a little bit bigger when it's printing out. This is where you can go to do that. Additional options, you can include the membership category indicator. So if you want to see that V for visitors, or maybe you have an M for members, check this box. And then also the D indicator showing you who those donations givers are. So this will simply put a letter after those people's names. I don't think I have a giver column. Over there. See, now we have our V's, okay, or our D's. All right, so that's all I'm going to go over there for the log report. Let's keep moving along here. Giving summary. You then have your filter tab. I'm not going to go over this again because these fields are the same that we just discussed. This report allows you to see a summary of giving that came in for a specific period for giving accounts, okay? So we can run it a couple different ways. We can run it for the whole year, so through today by adjusting our date occurred. And I can hit print, and then it's going to give me a summary of the date occurred, the total, and then it's also going to break it down by batch code. So if you are someone who uses batch code, say you want to keep your early and your late service separately, it will then do that for you. So if we come down here, you can see there is a batch code on 223. Same thing on 321. If you didn't use a batch code, it's just going to say none, but it will give you that breakdown. This is, again, a pretty straightforward report, but really great information. Now, let's say we only want to see batches that came in for the early service. So under batch code, we can choose early, leaving it for the whole year, hit print, and then we're just going to see those batches that have the early batch code on them. Again, you can adjust your date occurred for whatever you want. You want to run it for the whole year. You want to print it for a particular Sunday or a particular month. Using that date occurred option is going to allow you to do that. Payment methods here, if you just, again, want to see the giving that came in for cash or check, you can uncheck these, or you could leave EFT, credit card, debit card, uncheck the others. Really customizable here for this report as well. Okay. So that is the giving summary. Let me close this. And the last thing we're going to go over, looks like we have about 5 more minutes, is going to be the deposit slip. Go ahead and pull that up here. We are on page 21 if you're following along. The date we're going to use is going to be February 2nd. Just for example's sake, I put some checks and cash in. All right, first thing you have to put in is going to be the date. So the date you're needing is the deposit slip for. Next is going to be the batch code. If you only want the checks or cash for a specific batch code, you can select that here. If you don't use batch codes, just keep that blank or you don't need it. Don't select anything. It's not required. Then below that, this is the asset account. If you use more than one asset account, you're going to have to click here to select the appropriate one. If you don't use our accounting module, this isn't going to come into play for you, but if you do, you'll need to select that asset account that you're wanting to use for the deposit slip. Again, including bank information. This is pulled from your chart of accounts over in the accounting module. So if you want that information to pull across from accounting in here on donations for your deposit slip, you can check this box and it will fill in for you. Also, if you have any accounting entries that you wish to include on the deposit slip, you can check this box and those will be pulled over from the accounting module as well. If you don't wish to include those accounting entries, just leave this box unchecked and make sure you have include donation entries checked here. Now up here at the top right, you have an option to split cash and coin. For this specific date, we didn't have any change, so you don't have to worry about checking this, but if you wanted to keep it separately, check this box and it will do that for you. And then right here, it's going to show you your check numbers and then the amounts. You can either sort it in check number order or in entry order. It's up to you. You can see the numbers jump as I choose the different selections. Then down here at the bottom, you also have the option to add a check. So say you have a check that you need to include in this deposit, but it's not from donations. You can hit add the check button and include that. That will not create a transaction for you anywhere in the donations module, but it will add that amount to your deposit slip if you need it. Okay. Let me go ahead and hit print here. And that is going to then pull up very basic deposit slip. Your bank information up here, cash and checks, total deposit, and then your 3 checks are going to be listed down here at the bottom. All right, perfect. Looks like we're got 2 minutes. That's great timing. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type those in. That's all the information that we're going to go over today.